This video is an introduction to personal learning networks. Wikipedia defines personal learning networks as informal learning networks which consist of the people a learner interacts with and derives knowledge from in a personal learning environment. We all have personal learning networks. These are the different people that we learn from, that we share information with, different sources of information that we get. And this is what we're going to cover in this video. Now this is a screenshot of Kathy Cassidy's grade 1 class blog, and Kathy's a grade 1 teacher in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And she shares what her students are doing, and this way parents or grandparents can see what's going on in the classroom. But this map shows where people from all over the world are actually reading Kathy's blog. So not only can mom and dad read what's going on, but people from all over the world read what those grade 1 students have to say and what they're working on. So what are your students using? What kind of technology are they using to connect with other people? And what are they going to use in your classroom? And what are you using, not only in your classroom, but for your own professional development, or to personally connect with other people for your own learning? David Wiley says, if there is no sharing, there is no education. And he's right. If we don't pass on the knowledge that we get with other people, then there is no education. So who and what do you learn from? And that's really what I want you to think about throughout this video. So people still learn from books, as well as television, radio, newspapers, whether it's print or digital, or they're listening to online radio or streaming something like Netflix on their TV or computer. They learn from their coworkers. They also learn from their family members. And even from strangers, whether it's stopping somebody on the street to ask for directions or looking at reviews of books or movies or restaurants online. This is a graphic from Alec Couros at the University of Regina, and it's a diagram of the typical network teacher, typical teacher network really, of curriculum documents and print and digital resources that are one way as well as popular media, but also the two-way of colleagues and from local family, local community and family. He also developed this graphic, and it's of the network teacher. And so there's the same one-way things and the things that were in the other graphic, but there's also a lot more two-way things here, like blogs and wikis and social bookmarking and digital photo sharing. And this really allows educators to not only learn and get resources from the typical methods that have long been used, but from people from all over the world potentially, and to share what they're working on as well. So what does your network look like? If you're an educator, is it more the typical teacher network, or are you more a network teacher? So another question is, why is having a strong and diverse personal learning network so useful? Well, information can be like a fire hose. There's so much out there. How could you possibly take it all in? But if you have a network, it can act as a filter and turn that fire hose into something more manageable, like a garden hose. And this is where things like, instead of having to figure out on a site like Amazon when there's all those books, what might be a good book for you based on something else you've read, you can look at the reviews of other people. And that might give you some ideas of what to look for. Or on restaurant sites, on sites that give you reviews of restaurants to see what might be a good place to eat if you're traveling to a new city. The question I often get is, yeah, but where do I even start with using technology to build my personal learning network? And one thing I usually recommend is starting with something called RSS, which is real simple syndication. And you can use this to subscribe to blogs or news sites or podcasts, changes to wikis. And you can think of it this way. Instead of going to a bookstore to constantly see if a new issue of a magazine is out, you can subscribe to the magazine and it comes right to you. And RSS works the same way. So blogs might be in terms of education, they might be a class blog or a department or program blog. The one at the top is the blog that was used for Introduction to Learning Technologies during the first year that the Guatemala Center offered it. And it was built on WordPress. And the lower blog is actually the blog from the Guatemala Center, where we use that to share ideas and resources and information with educators, regardless of whether they're at our institution or not. You can use blogs for reflection. You can have students blog. There's a lot of evidence to show that when students write things that are more public, instead of just the teacher seeing it, the quality of the writing goes up because they know that other people are reading it. There's also social bookmarking sites. Now you can save bookmarks on your computer in your browser, and some browsers now will let you sync between one computer to another. But for a long time, all you could do is just save it to that browser, and you can only use it on that computer, or you could email links to yourself. But by using social bookmarking sites, you not only get to take your bookmarks with you wherever you go, but you can also share the great things you find. And you have an option. You can make them public or private, and you can tag them with keywords. You can create tags just for the class you're teaching so that students can share resources together, or you can just share resources with your students. You can create tags for different topics and go looking for information that have those tags from other people to find the resources that you need. You can use something like Skype for chat or audio talking or video to bring in something like guest speakers. You can use Google Hangouts for this as well. And this allows you to connect with other educators and with other classes. So if your class is studying something related to another part of the world, perhaps you can connect with a class in that country or that city and get your students talking to students in that class. Twitter's become quite popular among educators. There are many educators on Twitter. You can follow others, you can contribute, you can ask questions, offer solutions to other people's questions, and find a lot of resources. And that's exactly what educators are using Twitter for. You can use sites like Flickr to share pictures or to find pictures that you can use in presentations. You can also use YouTube to find videos that can be used, whether it's a TED Talk or a tutorial on something related to your class or something you're trying to learn. And it's really quite easy to find Creative Commons licensed images in Flickr, which you can use in presentations, whether they're public or private. You can use Google Docs to collaborate with other people or to share resources. You can get your students using Google Docs for this as well. It really gets rid of that excuse from students that if they're working on a collaborative paper with others that they couldn't get together with them. There's no need for that anymore. They can use something like Google Docs to connect with each other. They can talk on Skype while working on the Google Doc if they want. So distance is no longer an issue. There's also some yeah, but what about issues. So sometimes things change. Sites start to charge or they shut down, and you can really look to your personal learning network to help you adapt with this. So there was changes to Ning, which educators used to use a lot for building communities for their classroom. One day Ning announced that they were starting to charge. Now Alec Kuros, who did those network teacher images, he actually started a Google Doc and then shared the link to it on Twitter, asking educators for some solutions, some ideas on what educators who were with Ning could do about this. How might they move their stuff? What were some alternatives? What could they possibly do to maybe still keep using Ning? And it proved to be quite useful for a lot of people. Hundreds of educators showed up on that Google Doc thanks to the tweet that he sent out. Now there's also Facebook. And it's great for staying in touch. I connect with people that I've known for years that live in other cities, but there's also privacy issues. And if you're thinking about using it in education, you need to ask the question, do your students want you in their space? And this is true of Facebook or other social networking sites. So really you want to talk to your students about what are they comfortable with, what tools might they want to use. They might say, absolutely not, I don't like Facebook, or I don't want to use it for education. And so these are things that you really want to take into account. Also, you may want to decide if you're using Facebook or a site like that for personally connecting with people. You may not want to use it for your professional connections. So you might want to look at something else like LinkedIn or some other site. So that's a lot of information and a lot of ideas, and you certainly don't need to do it all at once. Important thing to remember is you shouldn't be frightened by all this. If you don't like using it, you don't have to. If you come across a site and it doesn't work for you, you can try something else. Start small. Think about signing up for an RSS reader or maybe a blog, reading other people's blogs. You might want to get a Twitter account, but start small. And then you can start looking at other things and really spread your wings and try different things. And again, if it doesn't work, you can try something else. So a lot of the images in this video came through Creative Commons, and it's a great place to find images that you can use in presentations, and I highly recommend it. That's it.